So, this is part two of that journey with this guy. And so, at this point, this guy's not in my life. It's like 2018 or whatever. And so, I think like mid late 2018, I started to learn about like Reiki and stuff like that because I had this idea that I wanted to be a somatic practitioner. And I was like, well, I got to figure out how to do this because I have no fucking money. So, I like took this random like Udemy course on Reiki and stuff like that, and it was cool because I learned the basic symbols and stuff like that. Interestingly enough, I ended up being Reiki certified in Yasui, Holy Fire, and Kundalini, like you levels 1 and 2 for like all of them, whatever. And that happened in like 2020 beyond. But yeah, so this guy, he's no longer there. I'm learning Reiki, and eventually I settle and I find this resource that you can learn to be a pharmacy technician. And I was like, I gotta step into my life. Like, he's not here, and I don't know what to do, and just like, And this is where like you really should be able to talk to your family. And I have never felt like I could talk to my family about really anything. That's just an emotional like invulnerability that I have. But yeah, like. So I like apply and I told them what I wanted to do, and technically I was like not really qualified to do it, but I wasn't the person that they were looking for. They were looking for people like out of high school, maybe GED, probably didn't do college. And at this point, like I've been college and grad school twice and shit like that. Like my life is just like a fucking wreck. Anyway, so yeah, so I go ahead and I do it and go through the program and gain so much confidence. One of the reasons why is because being a smart kid, I also, by the time I went to high school, was like severely like deficient and terrible at math. And I wasn't really someone who did well in those subjects going forward in high school. I did well enough in middle school, but I didn't do that well in high school going forward. And I went to an engineering type magnet-ish high school, so like I was B's and down like never an A in like, the math sciences, like just never. And I remember one year like D was passing, I was like thank God, like the score that I had was like terrible. Anyway, that was in high school, but I learned the skill, pharmacy technician skill, where I had to learn about mathematics and science, stuff like that. And I did really well. I was like one of the top people in the class. I would consistently get like B's and A's. And it did so well that they asked me to speak at the graduation, which I declined because I had a fear of speaking. But I also felt like there were other students who I think really could shine as well. And I kind of knew that like based on who I was and where I was, it was easy for them to pick me. But there were other students who like may have had like a more difficult road, and may not have had all the things that I had. And ow, you're really getting it. You're really getting it. Look at her. She's like, it's because I picked her up and I partially didn't do it correctly. I'm gonna let you down. Go down. But yeah, I always want the butt in your face. Anyway, it's like she wants attention. I feel like cats and electronics are really funny. I feel like they do not like the frequency of electronics, and they do not like when you give your attention to the frequency of electronics. So your phone, your laptop, all that kind of stuff. Because it's like really weird. Anyway, so yeah, so 2019 ends on a high note kind of because I graduate with this program certificate or whatever, and I test and I get my state board and I get my national certification and I get a job out of this, and I get a job out of this, and then I finally drive because like I had a car, but I was so scared to drive, and then I drive, and I finally on the second attempt get my permits for my state, and and then eventually I started working at this like terrible pharmacy. But like it wasn't like horrible, but it was like it was not like a good vibe. Anyway, so while this guy was gone, this is all that happened. So leaps and bounds. So men come in my life to help me like emotionally grow. Ow. Why? Why? Why bite me? Jerk. But yeah. And then like you're irritated and you're hitting me with your thing, with your tail. But then when I put you down, you'll come right back in 2 seconds. It's like a mess. So anyway. So so I do all that kind of stuff. And I go to this pharmacy. Ugh, whatever. Go to this pharmacy and there's a new guy there. And, we're chatting it up and stuff like that. We never really dated or anything like that, but we were very close in terms, like, like, one thing about me is, like, I'd be like, yeah, like, people, how can I say this? People, when they're just being nice or they're being, you can read it. I'm one of those people, I feel like I can read into someone being nice, like, really hard. And, okay, she's done with her 10 seconds of, like, affection. And then she's gonna come back and be like, oh my god, I want to do it again. She's like, girl, like, just consistent. Be consistent. She's like me. Like, be consistent, girl. Like, what? But yeah, so, there's this new guy, and I'm developing feelings with him, and it feels more, like, sexual. Like, it's very, like, but it's, like, it's so weird. It's like a brother-sister relationship in the way that we, like, do banter, but there was still also physical attraction there. It's a weird spot, but it definitely isn't, like, brother-sister love. Like, no. Like, I never knew this dude a day in my life. So, yeah, because we used to, like, play with each other, like, play fight, like, all the time. Like, at the office or whatever, like, quipping at each other. And so, yeah. And it was cool. It was the first time that I feel like I was really, truly experiencing, like, talking to the opposite sex, because for growing up, I really didn't talk to the opposite sex like that. Like, even in college, I had, like, girlfriends, right? Like, we would hang out and do stuff like that, and we would do stuff like that together. We would just talk and quip and have banter and, have disagreements and shit like that. Like, we did that together. And so to kind of be in this space in my 20s where I'm talking to people, because I didn't date in my high school, and I still don't date. Like, I've never dated, had a boyfriend, gone on a date, and stuff like that. Which would surprise most people, and I guess the people that, like, end up, like, going to lunch with or something like that, like, probably be like, bitch, like, really? The guy would probably be like, what? You never went on a date? Like, no, this was not formal. It was a buffet before you left. But that was not a date. But yeah, so yeah, he and I talked, but then, like, looking back on it, it was kind of like one of those relationships of convenience, not romantic, but like relationship in general. When you're on your job and, like, you don't like your job or something like that, and then, like, you're complaining to your coworker, and, like, that's how you bond. And then when you leave, you kind of realize, like, you have nothing in common. That's kind of how that relationship went. And then, like I said, I was kind of, like, exposed to, like, the relationships of talking to guys, kind of outside of the parental vision, and then also, like, the sexual kind of, like, tension that was new, exploring, like, real sexual tension as an adult, not like this, like, crush, puberty developing kind of thing, like real life, and it was kind of weird. And then, like, also navigating, like, he had his own, like, romantic situation that he was trying to figure out, and it was, like, weird. It was just like, whatever, okay. I'm definitely somebody who ends up getting, like, in the crossfires when it comes to people's, like, relationships. I'm just like, what is about that? Like, that's kind of fucked up. But yeah, so this guy and I, like, we still like were chill and stuff like that. Eventually he left the job, and then I left probably like a few, maybe 6 months ish later, because the pandemic happened, and I stayed on until like mid year, and I left. And this time I learned how to do Reiki for real, sound meditation, sound healing type thing. And I never really like got a major foothold on the sound meditation, but I did learn Reiki for real. And then everything like shut down, and I was still working as a pharmacy technician, and I eventually said fuck it. So, you know, then I left that job, unemployed for a while, got into massage school, which ended up being that ended up being a whole thing. And that's another part to this whole thing. And this guy is like the thread through all of it, because I like I said, I genuinely think him, like energetically think him. I don't feel like I need to say it in person or anything like that, but I would say it in person. Energetically, like saying thank you, like, because if he had entered my life back then in like 2016, he entered my life in like 2014 or something like that, but like truly, like, we're talking to each other, like I have your number, we've like seen each other in person like multiple times, and we've gone out to eat multiple times. Yeah, like without that I wouldn't have been where I was. I wouldn't have been, yeah. And I'm not saying like I'm not saying like I didn't have anything spiritually within myself, but like interacting with him ignited something in me. So there was something about him and what he needed to do, what his purpose was in my life, that kind of like spurred me to be my own person. And even outside of him now, because we don't talk now and I don't interact with him, I kind of look him up sometimes, but like I don't, you know. So yeah. And then also in college there was this other guy that I liked. All of the people I liked at this time were like architecture, design type people, engineering type people, which is kind of funny. I went to an engineering high school, so like, you know, it was a part of my life, and it still kind of is in many ways. But yeah, like there was a crush on him, and that was another thing where I, once looking back on it like years later, I kind of realized I have a pattern of the kind of person that I'm interested in, usually emotionally unavailable to me. Like they're very friendly and personable, but I read into the situation a little bit too much, and it's not what I think it is. What, like, they're honest to me about what their feelings are, but yeah, like, yeah. So, and I checked in on him like a few years ago. I don't think he does like online anymore, that person from college. Not the one that did the spiritual stuff, but the one that I had a crush on in college. A big crush on like the whole of college, basically. Yeah, I don't think he's online anymore. And if he is, like, he definitely changed profiles. But yeah, like, thanks. I'm like telling this over here. Anyway, it's like all this stuff. So, sorry. I need to drink some water, and I haven't drank water, I feel like, consistently in like a minute. So, sorry. But, yeah, like the pharmacy technician space, that guy, you know, the guy that started me on my surgery journey, he's been gone for like a year or so. And at some point in my mind, I used to see like a tiger, and whenever I saw that, I knew somebody was coming back into my life, and it was often him. And I just remember in my mind's eye seeing a tiger, and I was like, oh fuck, he's coming back. And I was like, oh, like, this is some bullshit. And he ended up coming back in my life. I don't think he stayed that much longer, but like, again, all like, are you dating? Are you interested? You know, are you seeing anybody? And it's just like, you know, when people are playing games with you, and you don't stick up for yourself, and you're in that like space of like, oh, let's just accept crumbs and stuff like that. Like, even though you're not interested, like, you're inquiring about if people are, and it's just like, well, why do you need to know? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you need to know? Because you clearly have stated you're not interested, and you're not going to make a move if you are. So, leave me alone. But anyway, we ended up like talking and stuff like that, and he sounded so different. And I don't because tarot is like very big on like he's a narcissist. I think we've died down a little bit about saying narcissist and narcissism, because it was like, I feel like 2021 to 2023, like that narcissism title was like really heavy. Like people were using that shit like heavy as shit. They were using it heavy as fuck. Like why using it this heavy, you know? But yeah, like, so we talked and stuff like that, and eventually like we were like cool or whatever. But I kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I was growing at this time. I got a spiritual hit that like perhaps I was going to meet my husband in massage school. And I'm like, first of all, ancestors, we're gonna have to do a video about that too. Ancestors, you fucking lied. You have fucking lied to me so many times. You set me up, you bastards. So yeah, like, so I, you know, the pharmacy guy faded away, the college guy faded away, the guy that started me on my spiritual journey, he like came back, and now I'm like heading to massage school, because May of 2021 I get into massage school. I get prepared to go to massage school. So I'm like making my way, and I get this like alert that I'm gonna like meet my husband there, and they have the like spiritual awareness that like, yeah, like they have the spiritual awareness, and that I'm like on my way to, like, almost like if they were meditating, they may have like seen my face or like know my aura essence or whatever, energetics, and then whatever. So this is like a big thing. Like I also was very heavy in the twin flame shit from 2016 into like 2019, like somewhere around the pandemic. I kind of like really gave that shit up, because I just, especially the pandemic onwards, I really started to see how like I would see people on YouTube saying the same shit, and it's been like, you know, if I started reading tarot for real for myself in 2017, we're in 2022, and like just seeing the people still talk about twin flames, and still be on like I'm thinking of one person, I don't know if this is it, but like this person like still being on tarot, still being on twin flames, still like looking them up, still talking about them, and it's just like, girl, like this shit is over. And I'm kind of realizing like how fruitless it was, and I wasn't so firm in that, but I could see the cracks in like that whole thing. And I was like, I really started to see, I just really started to like question a lot of the twin flame stuff, and I don't care to like support it anymore. I think it was a part of my life, and it did feel very faded, like that whole thing with him. Anyway, so I kind of started to do this shedding of old self, and at this time I've become a little bit bolder. The experience becoming a pharmacy technician definitely boosted my self-esteem, getting a job in it, and then I became a pharmacy technician for 4 years after that. So yeah, like, and then I got into massage school, and I was still going to school and working, and it was just a really weird time. But anyway, before I was supposed to go off, like I said, had this vision with the ancestors and this guy like I was supposed to meet, and then I got this like word. If you want to see that video, I'll like post it. It's when my hair was like really short, because I shaved my head off before I went to pharmacy, my first pharmacy job. So I cut it down real low, and it's growing so much now. It's like the back is like down here around my armpit. But yeah, like I was like, oh fuck yeah. And you know, I gained so much confidence. I learned how to drive. I got my permit, and so I was finding my. I feel like I was finding my way. I wasn't necessarily where I wanted to be. I wasn't. I wasn't at the point where I realized I really wanted to be a writer and decided to go back to get a writing degree. But I was confident because I could get this skill set going and I had money coming in and stuff like that. So I was doing that, and then by this time 2019 rolls around, I started my channel, my tarot channel, and I was a YouTuber years ago in college, but like I got locked out of my account, so I didn't know how to get back on there. But 2019 saw just a lot of improvements for me, and I was so grateful, and I really like that growth, and I like that growth that happened kind of without that guy, that spiritual awakener guy there, even though he came back at some point. But like that time he was gone, like I wasn't like 100% a different person, but I was a different person when he like saw me again, and I was a little bit bolder, a little bit more extroverted, stood up for myself a lot, and yeah, like it was like much better. And so I get to massage school and I have these like instances and I learn about spiritual warfare for real. and and energy and just all that kind of stuff. And I develop a crush on someone else. And it becomes a thing. And a thing is in like, oh, I feel way stronger for you than I ever felt for this other guy. And why is that? But this is carnal, pure, like carnal, like to the core. And but it's something about vulnerability, carnal. And I had never felt that before, because before with this guy it felt like emotional health vulnerability, like it felt like that. But this one feels like physical, like that sexual healing thing. Like it feels like that, like dealing with this person is going to bring that in. And you know, that's a really vulnerable space to be in. And so yeah, eventually I have this like breakdown with the guy. So I met him like one like final time or something like that. Like I think by this time like I was maybe, it had been 3 years since he left. He came back. I think we saw each other maybe twice. I definitely remember this last time, this time, because it was basically the last time. I don't think I've ever met up with him again. Anyway, so and I kind of just realized we were never gonna go anywhere. We were never gonna go anywhere. I'm sorry, God, I don't know. We were never gonna go anywhere. We were never gonna do anything. We were never gonna be anything. And if that's the case, you know, I'm one of those people like I really can't just be friends with you. I can't really just be friends with you. Like I have to be like, I can't do this. Like I can't, you know, I'm not gonna be the one. I can't fake. Oh, like if I fell in love with you and this didn't work out, like I can't be like, I'll see them every day at work, or I see them every day and I just like put on a brave face. I'm not putting on a brave face. Like I fucking loved you. Like what are you talking? Like I'm not gonna put on a brave face. Like, you know, if I was completely broken, the fuck yeah, like maybe. But like it just took me a really long time to get over him. It takes me a really long time to get over people because I don't know. I always have this fear of like, well, if it's not you, then who is it? And that fear of like them leaving is like, it has an abandonment wound to it, but it's like also kind of like, you know, like that feeling of, or some people don't know because some people have always been bad bitches, but the feeling where like, if this person leaves my life, like, will I find somebody else? You know, like some people do that, and that's why they marry like the first person that like shows them fucking attention. Which I'm very glad that I didn't fall into that trap. Because I kind of feel like that was the trap that like people in my family fell into, like, and not having the protection and not having the wherewithal and the yeah, like I feel like a lot of people, they in my family, they didn't really have the guidance needed to make like healthy relationship choices. And I think also through tarot and astrology I started to see that, and it became more aware, and I think I felt more of my purpose, and I started to become a little bit more calm. And calm is in like contemplative about these things and okay with them, and but resolving to fix what I could within myself. So yeah, so by the time 2021 rolls around, the pandemic has happened, this guy has come back, I'm in massage school. I'm feeling this very lusty, carnal attraction to this person in my school. And eventually, it come like by the end, nearing the end of 2021, me and that guy, the spiritual guy that started me on the path, we fall out. And I basically tell him, you know what, this isn't gonna work out. I know it's not gonna work out. I feel something for someone else that is far stronger than what I feel for you at this moment, and I'm done. I don't think we need to be together or around each other anymore. Something along those lines, essentially, because I'm someone who writes up paragraphs to a dude's okay, but I write a paragraph because you gonna know everything you can't ever say. I didn't express myself, even if I never said it in person. I said it, everything I need to say in that text, right? Everything I just say in that phone call. So yeah, so by 2021 that relationship dissolved, and then having the hots for somebody for the next like 5 years, which is basically what happened now. But yeah, but that person got me on a spiritual path. I think without that interaction, to be honest, I don't think I'd be here. I think I would go off the deep end emotionally, and I think what has happened like last year, I don't think I would have emotionally made it. I think I would have just gone off the deep end emotionally because I was suffering from just feeling like I didn't have no purpose in life, and the stuff that happened last year with my grandmother dying, I was on my purpose, and it being in school doing something. At that time, I had left pharmacy and technically left. Technically, would leave in the following months after my grandmother's death. Massage, like nearly 2 years of getting your shit together to not practice within 6 months. That's crazy. But the stuff that I had done before then, I was so glad. Like going to grad school, learning about the photography, learning about the other degree that I was trying to do in geography, having this experience of writing poetry, self-publishing, and stuff like that, because the self-published book is the only book that my grandmother ever knew existed before she died. So she won't be able to see my thesis next year when I go and make my thesis and graduate. And so I think the experience helped me set me up to feel better about her passing, because like I am on my path now, but to know that she knew that I was on my path and that I previously published stuff and she could like hold it and stuff like that, like that was a really proud moment for me, even though I had typos and everything in that shit. But she got to see something that I made with my own like mind, and it means a lot to me now. I will never try to sell it again because I mean it's trash, but to know that like she got to see that, and she got to see me to the point of getting to grad school was important to me. And then also being in school, pharmacy gave me purpose, but like it wasn't aligned with me, and I started to feel very misaligned, and I started to feel like very emotional in jobs and crying at jobs and just feeling like I'm not getting it and getting released and stuff like that. And then massage started to feel the same way, very stagnant and stuff. It wasn't until I really started to become a writer and own that I wanted to write that a lot of more serious things for me clicked in. I felt like I became a writer, poet, you know, all that kind of stuff. I started really taking the reins of what I wanted. And after her death, I had to grow exponentially, handling like her estate and all that kind of stuff, and stepping up and being an adult in that way, and having kind of like a mother figure ripped from you, ripped from me. But I felt like by the time, if she had died when I had started this spiritual journey, it would have been a wrap emotionally. But she died when I had gone through many cycles. That guy is no longer in here, and I was in something that I felt purposeful. Like, she literally died in a poetry memoir class, not in the class, but while I was taking the class, she died literally like 2 weeks into the new semester, my first year, the second semester of my first year, spring semester of 2024. And had I not been on my purpose, had I not made the conscious decision to go to school, it was almost like I made a rush decision to get into school, and I got into the school. And I think getting into the program and then being in that poetry memoir class when she died helped me process so much, that like I have to keep going, because like that actually got me through. If I wasn't doing something, I don't think I would have made it. Like, I don't think I would have made it emotionally. And I think I would have been done. Because I at that point I had lost like basically the center, my like emotional, I won't say emotional center, but like familial center. And yeah, you know, that was like really hard. So I finally got on my path, and I'm forever grateful. And like I said, I'm forever grateful that I got. And yeah, now I'm on like my path, and I've had like a few situationships that came out of that. Situationships, just like physical stuff, but like, you know, just like sex. But you know, the emotions of dealing with that was like, you know, I kind of realized also at my age, my big ass age, that sex is still very much a very emotional thing for people. As much as we like to say it's not, and like to be like, oh, like it really is. And I think also I decided to have sexual intercourse like much later in life, and still being unprepared emotionally for it. And yeah, like I'm glad that I did not sleep with that guy, because anyway. But yeah, so that was my journey with him. And yeah, he does need to come back. And along the way, like a few people have left my life, like up to date. I didn't cut him off. I didn't cut another dude that I was talking to off at one point. I cut somebody off that I knew for college. Cut her off because it was like, what? And then I cut off a person who was supposed to be my friend of like 10 years, and he said something that I'll never forget or forgive. I'm glad you are angry for me. So, you know, get it down. Get your paws. Thank you. And so, yeah. So I've cut like quite a few people off. And interestingly enough, the guy that I had the hots for, the guy that I had the hots for, the absolute hots for, and like massage school, I still talk to him. So it's so funny. So, yeah, I'm like, look who like ended up still standing. That's not going anywhere, but still, like, it's kind of interesting, like, that he's the one standing out of the whole thing. It's kind of funny. Anyway, this is it for this like series or whatever. I think I'll just do a video about massage and how like that was. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.